Welcome back. Let's talk about people development and one of my favorite people in the world, Brittany. Because when I think about high performers, the name that comes to my mind is Brittany. But I'll never remember the day she quit. And this is gonna sound a little controversial, but it was one of the best days for Lida and one of the best days for Brittany. So here's how it went. I got that message Friday afternoon, hey Matt, can we catch up? And I was gutted. I remember sitting in my office, having a conversation with her, and I knew exactly where the conversation was gonna go. Hey Matt, I've loved working here. Hey, I've really enjoyed my time at Lida, but I've decided I'm gonna go and do something else. And in that moment, I realized there's the reaction or there's the response. The reaction is, oh, how do I keep you? How do I make sure you don't go anywhere? How can I do everything possible to make sure that Brittany stays at Lida for the next 20 years? The flip side of the coin, which was my response and what we should respond to these sorts of things with, is how can I help you accelerate into this next stage of your career and the next stage of your growth and development? The reason why that's important is we have to move on from this idea that we're gonna keep employees for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We're just at a different stage now, and that's not a reality. We also have to recognize that we're gonna have Brittany for just a season, for just a quick moment of her career, of her development, and it doesn't do anyone any good for us to try and keep them there and guilt trip them and say, stay beyond your time or stay beyond what is good. So this was actually a good thing. Yes, Brittany was a high performer, but it was a good thing for her to resign. So I let her go. Because what happens if Brittany stays? First, she might actually regress because she'd outgrown the role. Second, her deep inner desire is to be closer to her family. That was one of the driving factors of her wanting to move on. So that would probably cascade in her resenting us and actually ending in a much worse situation than had we just ripped the Band-Aid off, if you will, when the timing was right. And thirdly, at best, her performance would have taken a hit, but at worst, she might have just grown to resent us and we would have ended on really poor terms. So do you want to know what she did? She went on to tell people how great of a place Lida was to work. And we hired several more great employees off the back of her recommendations. In the end, the situation was a win-win for everyone, even though in the moment, it felt like we were losing our best person.